Today on the Point Blank Performance YouTube channel, finally, we have two 17 to 19 L5P Duramaxes. I refer to these as the Gen 1 series. Guys, these trucks are in here for a D3 HP package. Identical builds, the up pipes, the fast fuel system, the piping kit, the 10mm over S&S diesel CP3. But guys, these builds feature one thing different. One is going VGT, one's going non-VGT. Today on the channel, we're talking about a 67mm turbocharger and which one is best for you. So before we go non-VGT, let's take a look at the factory VGT turbocharger that comes equipped on all 17 through 19 L5P Duramaxes. First off, we all want to know, how big is that compressor wheel here? You can see, that's a compressor wheel, 62mm. This dude is good for over 600 real horsepower. It kicks ass and takes names with the factory feel on it. And some perks about the factory unit is this little actuator back here, I'll spin it around for you. Whenever this actuates and you're hauling a heavy trailer, this actually helps you slow down the trailer so you don't run over the guy in front of you. So this turbocharger's badass and it bolts up like factory, but we're after high performance diesels and we want to turn this dude up. How do we do that? Well, you either take a turbocharger just like this and you make it bigger. But when you make something bigger, there is consequences. Like it's the gerbil running the race. Make it bigger, that gerbil takes a minute to get going. So we either go modified VGT or we go non-VGT. Let's talk about the non-VGT turbocharger we're put on this D3 HP package. What do we have on the table? An S467. This is the turbocharger I picked out for this D3 HP package. The customer allowed me the opportunity to spec out his unit for what he wants. What does he want? He wants his truck to sound good. Perfect, we can do that. We want it to whistle. Number two, I want the truck to drive mannerably. I want it to get up and down the road and not be lazy. Number three, I want to still tow with my truck, and an S467 can do that on stock fuel. Absolutely. So this turbocharger does and can compete with the VGT unit. How big is it? On the front, 67mm. How hard can we push it if we have the fuel? Up to 800 horsepower. But we're not putting injectors in this build, no. So anything over 600, we're good to go. How big is the back? Right here, guys. This is a T4 unit. It's a .90 AR. We want to squeeze it down. We want it to be a little tight so that way this dude will light, pull a trailer, but get to point A to point B as fast as we can. Just like that damn car out on the road. Guys, this wheel back here, how big is it? An 83 turbine. This is the smallest wheel that you can pair up with an S467 and a .90 AR. In my personal opinion, this will allow this turbocharger to compete with the modified VGT. Speaking of VGT, let's go over to Aldo's truck and check out the 67mm stealth turbocharger that we've got for his D3 HP package. So guys, shipping just ran. We got the brand new VGT turbocharger in and ready to go on Aldo's D3 L5P build. But before we do that, let's get this turbocharger unboxed, lay it on the table, let's go over the specs, and ultimately, what do we expect out of this VGT turbocharger when we compare it to an S400? So we got the brand new stealth turbocharger, 67mm. This unit, what is it missing? Well, there's an actuator that goes here, something budget friendly for you guys that you can do when you're ordering these. You can get them without the actuator. This truck has super low miles on it, like 24,000. So to save some money, we got it without the actuator. We'll take his off, put it on here, and we can use that money somewhere else in the build to make more power. All right, now down to business. When I say stealth, 67. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the compressor wheel on the front. Okay, 67 millimeters. That's roughly 5 more millimeters than your factory one, which measures 62. Okay, I've made about 590, 600 ruble horsepower out of those factory units. So this guy ought to flow some air and to make more power when we have the correct amount of fuel for fueling it. Perfect. So on the front, we're good to go. Now guys, what everybody gets hung up on is this, the front side. It's 67. But what I like to know is on the back side, are we working with a bigger turbine wheel? Because if we've got a bigger turbine wheel and we've got larger vanes inside of it, when we really lean on this damn thing, we can get all that exhaust gas out and we're not holding back the power inside the engine because that's energy. We got to get it out. Yeah, we might be pulling it in, we're just heating it up, but we've got to get it out. Let's flip this guy around and let's talk about the larger turbine wheel. Now guys, come closer, take a look at the turbine wheel. All right, how many blades are we looking at? We're looking at 10 blades. Calibrated done this design where they recasted this wheel and it will handle up to 200 degrees over Inconel. If you've never heard of Inconel, look it up guys. It can take a hell of a beating on temperature. But now I want to focus your attention inside the blades. You're gonna see the cage, the VGT vanes inside there. That is the magic that these guys come up with. So therefore, this turbocharger can not only drive good, pull good, but reduce drive pressure. This is a design that they come up with and that allow all those exhaust gases to go through the actual VGT vanes, hit the turbine wheel, get out, and ultimately make more horsepower with a less parasitic draw on your engine. Now guys, that's a lot of talk about this turbocharger, but I'm a visual guy. I want to set a factory turbocharger up here, let you guys compare the two and see what you think. So now let's take a look at the factory turbocharger that comes equipped on your L5P Duramax. Guys, right off the bat, we got the Stealth over here, the 67 turbine wheel, and you got your factory turbine wheel over here, much smaller. Okay, don't let me fool you. These factory turbochargers, when we push them, when we add fuel to them, they make good power. But keep in mind, we're doing that at a short burst of time. And in a realistic world, yeah, we'd like to take all turbochargers off and upgrade them, but sometimes we can't do that. So this turbocharger does make good power, but it's the things that you can't see that goes on when you're beating the hell out of it for long periods of time because everybody wants a 600 horsepower daily driver that'll pull a 40-foot trailer with 30,000 pounds of weight on it. That's not realistic. But when we slide over to the Stealth 67 that has the larger turbine wheel, then we get into a little bit more realistic ball game. I'm talking about the drive pressure again. So guys, factory turbocharger, making 400, 450 horsepower. The guys that want to do the Stealth modules, the guys that want to do the Banks Derringer, this is a turbocharger that, in my personal opinion, is probably absolutely perfect for you guys. You love it. You love everything about it. But when you get into this category, you get into efficiency where you can really give it some fuel and you can really drive it, not only when the horsepower comes up, but the torque follows. So that way when you're pulling, you're not like, hell yeah, I got my foot in it, this thing's making power. You actually feel the power through the whole entire band instead of topping out. Moral of the story, we got two bodybuilders here. This guy can bench 600, this guy can bench 600, but this guy can only do it for 2 reps. This guy right here can just keep repping out all day long, and that's what we want to do. When we're building our D3 HP package in a perfect world, based on a budget, we want to just keep making reps, guys. So now, let's see if we actually created a fair fight on the turbine wheels from a VGT to an S400. Now we're talking about the S400 turbocharger. On the front, both feature a 67mm compressor wheel. On the back, we just went over, this is a 67 turbine wheel, but now the S400, it's bigger. How much bigger? It's an 83mm. Based upon that, are you going S400 or are you sticking with your VGT, guys? Because, in theory, this turbocharger should have less drive pressure up top, but there is a sacrifice. So maybe we may make a little bit more power up here in the RPM, but this guy right here should bring the power in hot and heavy, down low, bring it up through the RPM, but will it peak out? Guys, there's tons of questions, and that's where we have to battle these two out with the same amount of fuel quantity. We're gonna give it to it, we're gonna put it on the dyno, load it the same, and ultimately see where these turbochargers shine. Same RPM window, all the way up, all the way down. Where do they make their power? Where are they happy? And just ultimately, which turbocharger makes more power with the same amount of fuel? This one does have an advantage because the bigger wheel, but this one right here does have something on it that the S400 doesn't. It is called an electronic actuator. That will allow us to talk to these turbochargers. And guess what? This is a third one that we've had featured here on the channel. The more time we get underneath our belt with this turbocharger, the more we can make it shine. Because guys, I'm not particular one way or another, but you guys are. You guys in the comments, you want to see more VGT action. I get it, so now it's here. We've got two perfect models, two D3 HP packages. There's 17 to 19 trucks, apples to apples, and we can now deliver. So guys, we're gonna get the covers off these turbochargers. They're headed to my guy, Victor at Black Label Coatings. He's gonna get some custom colors on these trucks, and ultimately, they're gonna be back here at Point Blank Performance. Guys, if you could do these builds at your shop, which turbocharger are you going with? Team VGT, or are we going S400? See you guys next week here at Point Blank Performance. Like and subscribe.